Hello and welcome to The Last Word. I'm Gargi Rawat. On the show today, why do two chief ministers in South India want families to have more children? In fact, our population is considered a challenge to our developmental goals. And last year, we overtook China as the most populous nation according to the United Nations. And the government's program is espousing people to have less babies. In fact, Hum Do Hamare Do has been a slogan for as long as I can remember. But this week, we had Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu expressing concern about an aging population in his state and actually talking of having incentives for larger families. Then the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin said at a function, why shouldn't couples have more children if the state is going to lose out on parliamentary seats? Both chief ministers' concerns highlight how southern states are now worried over losing out to the north in terms of influence and a share of taxes due to strict and successful population control. On the show today, South versus North, the population debate, politics or pragmatism. Before we go across to our guests to discuss this issue, let's take a look at this report.
Expressing concern over the aging population in southern states, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu has said that people in the state should have more children, even proposing legislation to incentivize this. He is now calling for a brainstorming on tackling diminishing population, a global trend.
Population control, South India as a first mover. Not only me, not only Stalin, even Karnataka, Kerala, tomorrow North India. Ultimately, India also diminish after some time. Aging problem will catch up.
சென்னை கார்த்திகேயன் ஸ்னேகா மணமக்களுக்கு மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் மங்கள நான் வழங்குகிறார்.
At a mass wedding on Monday, sponsored by the Tamil Nadu government, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin hinted that Tamil Nadu could rethink its stringent population control policy amid apprehensions that delimitation could weaken the political voice of the state in the Lok Sabha.
16 பெற்று பெருவாழ்வு என்று சொல்வார்கள். 16னா 16 குழந்தைகள் அல்ல, 16 செல்வங்கள். ஆனால் இன்னைக்கு நாடாளுமன்ற தொகுதியிலாம் குறையும் என்ற நிலை வருகிற போது ஏன் அளவோடு பெற்று வளமோடு வாழ வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லும் நாமும் 16 குழந்தைகளை பெற்றுக்கொள்ளலாமே என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய நிலை இன்றைக்கு உணர்வு வந்திருக்கிறது.
Tamil Nadu will lose 8 of its 39 seats if the centre decides to redistribute seats, keeping the total at 543. Neighbouring Kerala and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana combined will also lose 8 seats each, whereas the number of seats in the populous state of Uttar Pradesh will go up by 11 seats from the present 80, and Bihar will add another 10 to its present 40. If the government decides to increase seats with population, Tamil Nadu would get 10 more seats. Andhra, Telangana would gain 12 seats, Karnataka 13 seats, and Kerala will gain no seats, whereas Uttar Pradesh will add 63 seats and Bihar 39 seats. And it's not just about seats in parliament, it's also about a productive labour force. Roughly, while the proportion of the elderly in the population will increase by 6 to 7% in the south between 2021 and 2036, this will be just about 3 to 4% in the north. Southern states are concerned that they could be penalized while rewarding states that failed to keep population under check. They worry they could turn politically insignificant and even irrelevant in government formation at the centre. Already there is a growing debate over allocation of more financial resources to poor performing states by the Finance Commission, raising questions of fiscal and political federalism. With Umar Sudir in Hyderabad, in Chennai, Sam Daniel, Find It TV.
All right, so that report by Sam really explaining what the concerns are among the chief ministers of southern states. But to talk more about this and whether this is valid and whether this is even healthy, we're now joined by Anand Gurumurthy, spokesperson of the BJP Professor Jyotsna Thirunagiri, a spokesperson of the TDP, Dr. Syed Hafiz, DMK spokesperson, also will be joined later by Poonam Mutreja, Executive Director, Population Foundation of India. Now, first and foremost, Professor Jyotsna Thirunagiri, I'd like to start with you. If you can explain what are the Chief Minister's concerns, so much so that he even wants to have incentives for families to have more children, that he's talking about, how that people with more than 2 children will be allowed to contest in local elections.
Good evening, Gargi, and very good evening to all my co-panelists and also the audience. Gargi, here I think put aside the political angle to it. Rest all. But here we have to be concerned about a couple of things. One is the economic growth of the country, the working age, the capability of what we are talking about, and also when we and our Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, propose this particular thing. Actually, this proposal aims to extend our demographic dividend, where a larger portion of the population is of working age. This would lead to a prolonged economic growth due to a larger workforce, contributing to the economy. This is our primary motto. There are no, absolutely, especially with our TDP or our Supremo Nara Chandrababu Naidu garu, it is nothing related to politics. I'll tell you why. Because in the 90s, when he was the Chief Minister, then he was very pivotal in that particular policy of population control, execution of it, implementation of it. He was very pivotal. So when things are dynamic and when things are changing, probably we have to change according to that as well. There are certain challenges with this aging population, which when there is an increase in birth rate, that actually would mitigate those challenges. That's our entire thing. Nothing more, nothing less to it. And yes, when you said political incentives, yes, it's not only political incentives. If you remember when we had that earlier campaign of population control, it was just not political incentives. There were also, economic incentives were also given. But now, whenever you want to introduce a newer policy and when you want to become, bring a change sort of a thing, definitely you start giving incentives as a government, whether it is a political incentive or whether you talk about the economic incentive. Probably yes, we have to go ahead and do that for the betterment.
All right, so you're saying it's a valid concern. It's to do with an aging population, concerns over the workforce as well. Dr. Syed Hafiz, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, however, definitely spoke about this political concerns. He said, well, if we're facing, a decreasing number of parliamentary seats, why shouldn't couples have more? And, he used some phrase which suggested 16 children, which I think was something lost in translation for us in the north. But yes, so there's definitely a concern over losing out on parliamentary seats.
This concern which is raised by my Chief Minister is not the concern of only Tamil Nadu, but all the states which has implemented the policy which was unpopular in 1970s to have family planning. So that was the call of the government to ensure that this country grows and prospers. So despite the propaganda against family planning, the southern states took up that propaganda for the cause of this nation to develop and for their own family to develop and prosper. So we have listened to an advisory given by the government of that day. And now 50 years down the line, we are being penalized for a positive affirmative action that we have taken. We have contributed to the growth of this country. We have contributed to the GDP of this country. We contribute to the education system of this country. And end of that, what we get in return, that our democratic right to have a say in running the union government will come down. You take population as a criteria. In a democracy of a federal state like India, demography plays a major role. See, in 1971, you did not change the delimitation because you didn't want to alter the demographic right of the state, the political rights of the state, depending upon the demography alone. But 50 years down the line, the threat continues to be the same, where the southern states have implemented the policy and the population has come down, whereas the northern states, it has exploded beyond a point which the country can handle. Now you are going to incentivize those states, and merely they winning and people who are going to rule will win the northern states and not do a justification to the southern state. You take in terms of tax devolution, The criteria which you say is the population, the states with larger population will get the larger share. Like we give 1 rupee, we get 29 paise in return. The states with larger population like the Bihar and UP, they give 1 rupee and get 3 rupees in return. So that is one problem. And you are this kind of this incentivizing more populated states and states which did not implement family planning policy are going to be incentivized in terms of funds. That is a different story. That is acceptable or could be adjusted. That can be taken up with some sort of a thing that we have to help our fellow brothers there. But now here the democratic right to and the political right to govern will come to question, where our seats are going to shrink and those seats are the seats
So
from the northern states
are going to shrink in parliament. You're going to have a reduced say. You're worried on the national scale of things, and also a lesser share of the tax benefits. You're saying that UP and Bihar, who have not been able to implement population control as successfully and have a more educated population, are going to reap more benefits at your expense. So Anand Gurumurthy, your comments on this. Legitimate concerns also, if we talk about what TDP is saying, and they're saying their concerns are not politics, it's more to do with the aging population. Yes, if we look at the southern states, the fertility rate of the 5 states of Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu is at 1.73, which is well below the national average of 2.1. So your comments on this?
Okay, I am also from Bangalore, from Karnataka. So our state is next in line in this. And I would like to put it across like this. See, what can be corrected on paper need not be, changed on the ground. Like, for example, the population control that the southern states has implemented in the last 30-40 years has seen dividends. Even the sex ratios improved to a certain extent. It should become better if we really call ourselves as a developed country equivalent. Okay, but still, okay, we are doing a better job. And yes, in the North Indian states, there are some issues. But from the party perspective, nothing changes with respect to what is happening in our country. The family control thing, it will continue because nothing changes here. But with due respect to the leaders, because the vision is correct, but it can be corrected on paper. How? They have to go into a debate. Like the senior leaders, it's very good that a senior leader, southern leader like Chandrababu Naidu has taken up this issue. One more senior person from the DMK has taken up this issue. It's wonderful that they're taking up the issue, but it can be corrected on paper. But if they multiply the population and the geographical area and come up with a different formula instead of the only population formula that we have, I think we can increase the number of states that are also having a big geographical area but lesser population. This way,
sorry, I didn't understand this. What do you mean it can be corrected on paper? If you could just explain that again.
Yes. See, basically, constitutional rules apply here. Okay, what Chandrababu Naidu ji is telling is there are certain constitutional rules which say that for this many number of people, the representation should be this many. That's why we have 543 seats. Now, if it is changed to a little bit like considering the geographical area, if Karnataka is a very big state but lesser population, you multiply that, then come up with a new formula which will decide the number of MPs that Karnataka gives or Andhra gives. Then this problem will not arise. And other states who are, adding too much to the population, not contributing enough, will also be, forced to do this so that, our country improves.
So this will become a better policy. You're suggesting, are you suggesting this as somebody from Bengaluru or as a member of the BJP? Is this something that's going to...
I am suggesting this as both member of BJP, as somebody from Bengaluru, as an Indian citizen. And since a senior leader like Chandrababu, he's a visionary, okay, no doubt about Chandrababu Naidu's intelligence. So since he has come up with this, I think he can take it forward and make this a reality so that nobody is, worried about this.
Well, after all, he is a part of the government. Dr. Tirunagiri, is this something that Chandrababu Naidu may push at the central level? And also, I wanted to ask you about what about migration from north to south, something like that. We could, even out our population going forward.
Gargi, the point is, even in my opening comments, I very categorically said, Naiduji's comments or Naiduji's statements are not political. Let me put it very clearly here. And you should not, these concerns raised by Naiduji, you shouldn't, simply dismiss as rhetoric. Some people might say they're just mere rhetoric and, probably linked to the delimitation or probably linked to the Lok Sabha seats. No, but they represent the starting point of a much broader rational discussion that raises above the regional concerns. We have to understand that this raises above the regional concerns. You know, without population boost, especially with our state, we are more concerned about our state of Andhra Pradesh. Is without a population boost, with the present fertility rate and with the present population growth rate in our state, AP actually risks, entering a period of irreversible decline. I'm telling you, it's irreversible decline where the elderly outnumber the young and the economy stagnates. Literally, the economy might stagnate due to a lack of fresh manpower in all sectors of the economy. It's just not one particular thing. So we have to understand this. And again, it's just not about, as I said earlier, the aging population, or it's not one thing. It's multifaceted angles to it. And also here we also should understand the gender imbalance that most of the states actually experience, the gender imbalance. We have to even correct that as well. But as rightly quoted by my co-panelist, a BJP representative, I think it's just a proposal. It's just a thought of Andhra Pradesh. It's just a thought arising out of the
Chandrababu Naidu has actually spoken of bringing in a law. He said he's going to bring in a law, and he's going to be, pushing for this law that will incentivize having more children. We also are joined by Poonam Mutreja. Ma'am, your comments on two chief ministers from the south, concerned about their population, talking about encouraging couples to have more children, saying that they're being punished for having, over these last couple of decades, being able to control their population. And Chandrababu Naidu even says that, he spoke of states below the Vindhyas, but highlighted that it was a problem that would soon grip the entire country, this aging population problem.
So, suggesting that women should have more children, therefore, to me is a problem that's the suggestion that's bizarre and quite outrageous. How will having more children solve the problem of an aging society at this point, where we do have an aging society? Today it's 10% and it's going to increase to 20%. I find it very difficult that suggestions are being made where they say they will make laws when it's not possible to change the population dynamics. No country in the world that is facing serious problems of aging and minus growth rates has been able to increase its population. So this is not thought through at all, and that's why I called it bizarre. And finally, I think women's bodies cannot be treated as switches you can switch on and off. We've gone full circle. Sometimes we say they should have fewer children, now more children. And instead, we should be investing in our aging societies, taking care of their health, social security, and keeping them employed in a way that's meaningful for them.
Right, but Poonam Mutreja, what about these concerns about, the lower fertility rate that especially in the southern states is much below 2.1, it's at 1.7, so 7.3 below the national average. So these concerns about, going forward, what it means. There are, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister spoke about, reduced representation in parliament, which is also a concern for the south.
That's the real problem. You see, they're talking about aging, they're talking about women having more children. The elephant in the room is delimitation, which is going to decrease the number of constituencies, and they're going to suffer financially, which is unfair, because I'm very proud of what South India has done, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. They have not only just decreased their population, they've invested in women's empowerment, education, health, and of communities, and they have better governance. There are better ways that these people who know how to govern states better than North India, that's not doing well, not just on population, but all other indicators, including gender. We have to see if delimitation can be done differently in this changing population dynamics, which is not just happening in India. It's happening all over the world.
Right, but in India we have this issue, this concern among the southern states. Dr. Saeed Hafiz, your comments on that, maybe we can arrive at some sort of, and have that conversation through the media, through debates like this, and hopefully Chandrababu Naidu, being a part of the central government, can also push this conversation at that level. Your comments?
Oh, absolutely, because we are one of the front runner when it comes to family planning and containing the population explosion. That is the track record of the Tamil Nadu, and it comes to social welfare measures also, to any indices that is empowering women from labor empowerment and gender equality. Tamil Nadu is one of the top states. So the point raised by my chief minister is not pertaining to having more kids, but to highlight that how this disparity in power is going to alter the power structure and the political structure of this country, where the rights of the southern states are going to be affected, and in turn that is what is going to, the policy making will also get affected, favoring the north and not favoring the south. So that was a larger picture. As a rationalist state and people, a state which believes in rationality, the point here is to maintain this unity and to save the identity of the subnationalities in India. As my fellow panelist, ma'am, she said, yes, to keep the same number of seats till the northern states achieve the fertility rate which has been aimed at by the union government, then we don't have a problem at all. And we would also request to bring in a new formula, not to give so much weightage to the population as a criteria, rather to reward and incentivize the SDG goals that has been given by UN, from gender equality to education to zero hunger and all this. Maybe that will make this country more prosperous and more focused towards achieving family planning and development.
Definitely. So interesting thought there, and clearly something we need to talk more about. Anand Gurumurthy, your comments. We're running out of time, but quick comment from you.
Yeah, see, the cat is out of a bag, and it is being left by a very, very senior politician of our country who is a visionary, non-visionary. So it is very good to discuss about this and ensure that what can be corrected on paper, let us correct on paper. Okay, let's change things so that future generations respect us for that. It's a good thing, good debate.
All right, Poonam Mutreja, your comments now finally, given these concerns, two chief ministers talking about it, and you're saying women should not be pushed in this manner, that produce more babies, and at the same time southern states shouldn't be punished for having achieved what they have achieved with a more educated population and a more controlled population.
So I'd like to say three things quickly. One is, don't do politics on women's bodies. Two, let's deal with this political issue. It is a political issue. And like the other panelists said, we can, delimitation can be done differently. Even now, there are constituencies in Lakshadweep where the numbers are very small compared to other states which have larger numbers. So that already exists. It's not as though we are breaking any rules or policies to do this, or we need to amend the constitution. Certainly not. So let us look at it differently. And your debate is very important, Gargi. And I think next time you should have people coming into the debate with solutions. And finally, I would say, don't penalize states that have done well. And let those states who have not done well learn and emulate from these states. We need to provide family planning services, education, women's empowerment, because nobody in India, by and large, wants more than 2 children. People want fewer than 2 children, even in Bihar and UP. So let's make good investments in empowering women, educating women, and giving them family planning services. So we have then the north-south divide can become more constructive for future delimitations. But right now we need to take a break and halt and think. There's enough demographic
Thank you so much. Clearly, more thought needs to be given here regarding the concerns raised by the South, and also should be punished for having achieved population control much better than the northern states. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much all for joining us on the program. Good night.